Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Jonathan Falco Show. I am Jonathan Falco, and I am so excited to be starting this podcast. It's going to be all things Seahawks all summer long, and we're going to obviously carry this on into the NFL season and beyond. I am stoked for this, and I thank you all so much for being here. Episode 1. You guys are literally the day ones. If you are watching this as of today, June 1st, 2026, you are a day one, and I thank you so much for being a part of that. Now, with that being said, we have a lot to talk about. A lot of NFL news broke today, and we also are going to be talking about Brian Fleury and breaking down how he's going to try and manage this new look Seahawks offense. But let's start out with the news that everybody knows about. And what a terrible time to be starting a Seahawks podcast, am I right, folks? Because the Los Angeles Rams just traded for Myles Garrett. Yep, it happened today. You all know it. I'm pissed. And all I could say, I've got one word to react to this trade, and that is fuck! Fuck! That was technically 2 fucks, but you get the idea. The Los Angeles Rams are the pure definition of a win-now team. I'm pretty sure that's what people were expecting, not only with this trade, but with picking Ty Simpson in the first round. But this is an absolutely ridiculous trade in the best way possible in the short run for the Los Angeles Rams. This practically makes the Rams have a top 2 defensive line in all of football, maybe 1. The other one is maybe Denver with Nick Bonito and that loaded defensive front. But I think the Rams might be 1, guys. As much as I hate to say it, the Rams might have the best defensive line in all of football. Let's take a look. Before we talk about the Rams' defensive line, let's take a look at some trade details. So the Rams are going to be receiving Myles Garrett, of course. The Browns receive Jared Verse, an up-and-coming superstar in this league. The Rams' 2027 first-round pick. 2028 second round pick, and their 2029 third. So that's 3 extra picks for the Browns to utilize, and they've been drafting very well in the first round as of late, I must say. They're very good at drafting in the first round, so I think with this loaded 2027 draft class, I think they're going to put that to a huge advantage for their team in the long run. It's just going to be at the bottom of the first round because the Rams are at the very minimum going to be picking for pick 29. Like this move pretty much guarantees that the Rams are going to be at their floor is the NFC Championship. That is how scary this move is. You cannot overlook this. If you're a Seahawks fan, you cannot sleep on this move in the short term. This is bad for us. You cannot signify that enough. This sucks. Here is the new look Rams defensive unit now that they acquired Myles Garrett via their sacks in 2025. Myles Garrett, 23 sacks last year. Byron Young, 12 sacks last year. Kobe Turner, 7 sacks last year. Braden Fisk, 3 sacks last year. Poona Ford, Seahawks legend, 2 sacks in 2025. This is a filthy Rams defensive line, and you put all the sacks together, you want to do a little bit of a quick math here, and that's 47 combined sacks. 47 from 5 people. This isn't including Jared Verse's sacks last year because he's not on the team anymore. Just from these 5 people alone, they would have put up the exact same number of sacks as the entire Rams team did last year. This is how scary this is. This is not including Jared Verse. This is literally the sack total from these 5 people. Byron Young and Myles Garrett combined for 35 sacks by themselves. I think that's more sacks than the entire Baltimore Ravens did all last year. Mind you, their pass rush was terrible. But that's 2 people. That is insane. And obviously, this is a win-now team. Because you bring in Myles Garrett, you draft Ty Simpson, as I was saying earlier, with the first round pick 13, saying this team is going to win the Super Bowl this year. That is what Les Snead is saying with this move. Now we look at this from the Browns side. We're going to do this really quick, though, because we're Seahawks fans. Who cares about the Browns? Here's the Browns general manager, Andrew Berry, on this trade. This is through Mike Garafolo, who posted this quote first. We have long taken the stance that our goal was for Myles Garrett to be a one-helmet player for his entire career. After rewriting the record books and representing our organization with excellence, we were sincere in that desire as we entered this offseason and did not envision a world where Myles was not a Cleveland Brown. When the Rams first approached us with the possibility, of trading Myles, we remained convicted in our position, but as discussions intensified, we were stuck at a legitimate crossroads. In that framework, the decision became clear. Although our emotions were muddled, we, and more importantly, our fans, have grown up with Myles, and he's an enormous source of pride for our team. However, as we embark on a new era of Browns football with a young core and replenished asset base, we felt this move was important to our transition. Then he goes on and talks about, welcoming in Jared Verse, talking about all the other statistics that he's had over the years. He's a two-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year, etc. You guys all know about it. He's 25 years old. The guy's going to be a stud for the Browns. We know this. This next part, though, is very interesting. Was what's going to segue into our financial talk about this trade. We recognize the unexpected nature of this trade, but it opens up great opportunities for our franchise. We are excited to welcome Jared into the organization along with the cap flexibility and draft pick resources to deploy to the rest of the roster that will allow us to add to our budding core on both sides of the ball. This quote segues into what we're going to talk about right now. This is how Myles Garrett is going to be affecting the Rams salary cap for the next few years as it stands today. This is a very backloaded contract right now, so this is pre-restructuring in a couple years. This is how as it stands right now. Myles Garrett affects $9.14 million against the Rams salary cap in 2026. He has a $9.14 million salary cap hit. What the fuck? That is ridiculous. $9 million against the cap for one of the best defensive players of this generation. Well done, Les Snead. I hate to say it. Well done. $16 million in 2027. $21 million in 2028, where edge rushers at this point will probably be getting paid a boatload of money, so that salary cap number will probably be more for players like a Max Crosby who will be looking for a contract later on. It'll be very interesting to see how maybe an Abdul Carter will be getting paid in a few years' time, where this will look like nothing. $42 million 2029 is still a lot. That's $42 million against the cap, mind you. His salary is still $40 million a year. $50 million in 2030, and then $40 million in 2031. So again, very backloaded. There'll be a lot of restructuring. I assume probably in the next couple of years, they're going to try and front load the contract a bit more, so the Rams pay a bit more now so they can save later, try and build on younger talent as the years go by. But now, here's the thing with the Browns, though. And this is where the quote from their general manager, Andrew Berry, kind of confuses me a bit. Because the Browns are will be paying, $15 million in dead money from Myles Garrett's contract this year. They're paying him $15 million this year. Now, next year, it'll be $25 million. They're paying him $25 million. Not this upcoming football season, $15 million. $25 next year. And that's $40 million to Myles Garrett in 2 years. So I'm a little confused with that quote. Now with Jared Verse, though, this is where there's a financial plus here. Because you only got to pay him $2 million for this upcoming season on a rookie deal. $2 million on his last year of his rookie deal in 2027. This is around the time you can expect a negotiation process to begin. He'll be a UFA in 2028 if all goes wrong for the Browns. So it's good that they can go a year without thinking about their now star edge rusher, Jared Verse, and his contract for the next couple of years. That's great. But again, you're paying $15 million this upcoming year, $25 next year. But I get the long-term idea of it because, again, as we know, Les Snead's going to have a lot of restructuring to do because you're not going to be wanting to pay a guy $40 million against the cap in 2031. That's just not happening regardless of how high the cap is at that point. That's just not happening. So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of turmoils. But now let's weigh all the pros and cons for the Rams, because again, we're not talking about the Browns now. The pros for the Rams, you have Myles Garrett. What else do you want? I mean, come on, that's the layup. Obviously, you get Myles Garrett, one of the best pass rushers of all time, quite frankly. Most of the time, defensive player of the year. This guy's an absolute unit. The cons is where you got to raise a little bit of an eyebrow for long term, for Les Snead and this Rams team. Byron Young and Kobe Turner are likely going to be gone after this year because they're both pending UFAs, and both of their expected market values are about $30 million. So if both of them are getting roughly $30 million, I mean, listen, maybe one gets more, one gets less. Like, we'll see. But for their positions, that's very expensive. Like, you're getting that's an expensive contract for Les Snead to try and go and pay. So I don't see them paying that contract. I don't. Not at all. Neither of them. Because here's the contract I do see them paying, and that's Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua is due $42 million around that mark. That's what JSN got, and obviously Puka Nacua's agent's probably going to say, hey, Jackson Smith and Jigba got $42 million a year. Puka's better, right? Les Snead, right? He's not, but that's another conversation. He's going to want probably 43, 44 a year for the next few years, which is reasonable. For a guy like Puka Nacua, this guy is a stud. They're going to want to do that over paying Byron Young, Kobe Turner, and that's what I'm expecting. If they move off Puka Nacua, that's just crazy. That's not happening. You don't have to worry about that. Here's where things get interesting with this Rams team, though, as well. Is Aaron Donald coming back to the Rams? Well, I don't think so. You got to hold back just a little bit. Because here's what he said on May 13th on Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward's podcast, Not Just Football. To be honest, I have no urge to play football no more. Sometimes in the back of my head, I'm like, do I want to go back out there? I think about that, and I'm like, nah, man. Again, that was on May 13th, way before this Myles Garrett trade. Do you guys think he would come back and play for this already loaded Rams team? I hope not. Leave a comment below telling me what you think. Because I don't think it's happening. I don't see a world where this happens. Because Aaron Donald's 35 years old. He has a family. I'm not trying to cope here. Listen, I'm a Seahawks fan. You can tell. But that's not where I'm coming from with this. I'm not coming with Seahawks bias. I'm coming from a logical standpoint here. 35 years old. He's been out of the league for a few years already. He's already coordinated with Sean McVay years back. He ain't coming back. He's good. I don't think he's coming back at all. I don't see any world. I would say if I had a percentage chance, maybe 15%. I'll give him maybe a 15% max chance of him coming back to the NFL. And listen, I hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope that doesn't happen for the sake of my sanity and for the sake of this microphone right here, because I will scream so loud if that happens. Now, this is a part of this show that I'm very interested about. I read this afternoon. This is from a guy. I love this guy. This guy, his name is Brian Nemhauser, a.k.a. Hawk Blogger. This guy is a stud. I love his content. Been watching it for years. One of my favorite Seahawks pages in this entire space. He asked this question for Seahawks fans on X today. The question for Seahawks fans is whether you would have done this trade if it required you to include Byron Murphy. That would be the equivalent player on the Seattle roster. I agree, first off, that's a great comparison, literally in the exact same draft. One's a pass rusher, one's a great run defender. So that's where the comparisons lie. Would I do this trade, though? Absolutely not. No way. Because it's two different circumstances. One team, the Rams, are very hungry for a Super Bowl when the Seahawks just won the Super Bowl and did it without making any splashes. The Rams can say F them picks all they want. They still have to go and win a Super Bowl. The Seahawks, we just did. And we're still going to be contenders even without Myles Garrett because we just won the Super Bowl and we barely lost anybody notable that we didn't already replace. So no, I am not doing this trade. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But I don't see a world where this makes any sense for the Seahawks. But this is a great comparison. Love my guy Hawk Blogger. Shout out to him. He's an absolute stud. I've been watching his Hawk Blogger morning stuff all year. he's incredible. Real Hawk talk, top to bottom. You guys know him probably. I love him. He's great. That's it for the Myles Garrett stuff, though. Thank God. I am tired. This is an episode 1 of a Seahawks podcast, and we're talking so much about the Rams. Give me a fucking break. And now it's time for the segment that was supposed to be the heart of episode 1 of the Jonathan Falco show, but now it's just another part of it, and that's Brian Fleury. Brian Fleury is the new Seahawks offensive coordinator after spending 7 years with the 49ers. So another experienced coordinator comes to Seattle after spending a boatload of time with the 49ers. Division rivals, see us twice a year. So he jumps all the way up to the Pacific Northwest and will be calling plays for the reigning Super Bowl champions. Let's break this down. Fleury was a part of this 49ers organization starting in 2019 when he was their defensive quality control coach. And yes, he has prior defensive coaching experience. That's important to keep in mind because he's even said that being a defensive coach certainly helps him with his offensive scheme. Now, from the 2020 to 2021 season, he then served as the offensive quality control coach for 49ers. Then from 2022 up until last season, he was their tight ends coach, but was also awarded the run game coordinator title in the same season. So he was the tight ends coach and the run game coordinator for the 49ers last year. Here's the part where I just smile about Brian Fleury and why I freaking love this guy. He runs the exact same scheme as Clint Kubiak. Nothing's changing. Well, not everything is changing. Not a lot is changing, I should say. No surprise, though, because Clint's father was the founder of the modern West Coast scheme that Shanahan obviously runs, Clint Kubiak obviously runs, and a lot of other modern-day offenses are using today. And here's a quote from Brian Fleury in his introductory press conference about his offense. Quote, "It looks very similar to the one that just won the Super Bowl. Very similar to a top 10 offense. Already, I love this guy. I do. I get it. It's 4 coordinators in 4 years for the Seahawks, but I freaking love this guy. I think he'll be on the team. I think he'll be on the team for a good couple of years because I think this guy is really going to be able to flow with JSN, with Darnold, with Jadarian Price, who we're going to talk about in just a second. I'm excited. This guy, I am stoked for this guy. I was not as stoked for anybody that Seahawks have hired as of late, minus Clint Kubiak, of course, who I was freaking pumped for, and look how that turned out. And here's another quote that just fires me up. This is probably my favorite quote of the entire introductory press conference for Brian Fleury. Quote, "It's more about how you play than what you are actually doing schematically. We're going to be fast and violent and aggressive in every way that we possibly can, put pressure on defenses both schematically and from a tempo standpoint, and always have that type of mindset." If that doesn't scream Mike McDonald on offense, then I don't know what you guys are even thinking. Because this is literally what Mike McDonald does on the Seahawks defense. Chasing edges, violent, old school mechanics, new game, I'm going to cut that part. Cutting this part. If that doesn't scream to you Mike McDonald on offense, then I don't know what you're thinking. Because this literally just reminds me of Mike McDonald on offense. And again, listen, no play calling experience. There's a lot of concern for Seahawks fans. And it makes a lot of sense why you'd be concerned. Because, again, that's 4 coordinators, 4 years. The previous guy that did not have offensive coordinator or offensive play... The previous guy that did not have offensive play calling experience for the Seahawks in the NFL was Ryan Grubb. The guy before that, Shane Waldron. So you kind of are a little bit hesitant with this move for some Seahawks fans. And I understand where you're coming from with that. But when you see the quote where it says the offense looks very similar to the one that just won the Super Bowl, how can you not be excited about that? I'm sorry. I love it. I think this guy is going to be the offensive coordinator for years to come. Let me know what you guys think about him because I'm fired up. I'm fired up for next season, even with Myles Garrett lining up against us twice a year. This guy's, I have full faith in this guy, man. Brian freaking Fleury. It makes a lot of sense. It rolls off the tongue. Brian freaking Fleury. This guy is going to be awesome for us. I'm stoked. But Here's the quote about Mike Macdonald talking about how play calling is a bit overrated. He said this himself, noting that every play caller has to start somewhere. You're going to have to grow into any new role, Macdonald says, but we have a lot of great people around here and a lot of great opportunities for him to get ready to go, and I'm really confident that he's going to be off and running sooner than later. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be a fun process to build this thing. Yes, this chemistry for Brian Fleury and Mike Macdonald is phenomenal. And there is a clear reason why the Seahawks wanted Brian Fleury, because they went out of house on a coaching staff that just won a Super Bowl. They could have gotten Andrew Janocko that ended up going to Vegas to serve as the Raiders offensive coordinator, and he's not even calling plays. He could have been the offensive coordinator. There were a lot of people inside the Seahawks system that just won a Super Bowl that you could have had as offensive coordinator, and the Seahawks interviewed those people. But they fell in love with Brian Fleury. So that's why I have full trust in John Schneider. I have full trust in Mike Macdonald that this is the right move. Here's the other part about Brian Fleury that makes me very happy. Somebody very overlooked on this 49ers team last year was Jake Tonjes. George Kittle played 11 games for the 49ers last year, but Jake Tonjes was able to step up in his absence, scoring 5 touchdowns on the year. That's awesome. When Brock Purdy is able to trust a guy like Jake Tonjes, and Brian Fleury is helping design plays to get him open even without Kittle, I'm sold. I'm literally sold. Like, if you're not a 49ers fan or wasn't watching a lot of the games in the past, you had no idea who Jake Tonjes was until this year when he was catching touchdowns for the Niners when Kittle was gone. And here's the other part of Fleury's game. His run game coordinator title. Christian McCaffrey had 1,202 rush yards last year, the second most in one season during his time as a Niner. And he obviously also had the 924 receiving yards as well. And I'm not saying Jadarian Price is going to be Christian McCaffrey. I'm not saying that at all. That's a huge overreaction. No. What I'm saying is you have to admire the experience that Brian Fleury has when it comes to trying to develop a new running back, a rookie running back out of Notre Dame in Jadarian Price. Because this guy is going to be the RB1 for the Seahawks for at least the first few weeks of the season until Charbonnet comes back. And he might even take the RB1 job anyways. So I'm very, very excited to see how he coordinates his passing game, coordinates the running game. Now, the ultimate question Seahawks fans probably have is, will Jackson Smith-Njigba have more receiving yards than Puka Nacua next year with Brian Fleury as offensive coordinator? And I hate to say this, but no. I don't think he's going to. I think Puka's coming back on a system that he's already comfortable with, not a new offensive coordinator. He's already going to be back with reigning MVP. I think he's going to have more yards. I think Puka's going to have more yards. JSN's going to be top 5 in receiving again this year, though, for sure. I'm confident. Screams maybe even first team All-Pro again. JSN is still going to be one of the best route runners in football. It's just a matter of how will Brian Fleury use him. I think he's going to use him very well, but it might take those first few weeks to get comfortable with him, and then he'll break out into what we know him as, and that is JSN, the Emerald City freaking route artist. We love him. We love JSN, but Brian Fleury, guys, do not be hesitant. This guy is going to be a stud for us. And the next bit of news that I want to talk about, and this sucks for us Seahawks fans, because this could be the beginning of the end for Russell Wilson in the NFL. Russell Wilson is joining CBS as an analyst, replacing Matt Ryan on the kickoff show, on the pregame show, I believe that's what it's called on CBS. And what this could mean is he obviously is turning down that Jets offer to back up Geno Smith, which if you told me that 5 years ago, I'd call you crazy. That was going to be a scenario. But they turned that down. Russell Wilson turned that down. And now he's joining CBS. Is this it for Russell Wilson? If so, thank you, GOAT. You're a Hall of Famer, for sure. I hate when people ask, if Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer. Is he? Is Russell Wilson a Hall of Famer? Abso-freaking-lutely. Are you kidding me right now? This guy was one of the best passers, the best deep ball passers. Let's just go there in all of the 2010s. Every time this man sent a ball up in the air, the camera would lose the ball up in the air. That's how high it went. And it would go way far to Tyler Lockett or whoever, some random wide receiver, Freddie Swain, David Moore, whoever he wanted it to. He would throw it deep, and it would land in their hands every single freaking time. He had no offensive line for a good portion of his career. Pretty much his entire prime was without a good offensive line. He was the face of the Seahawks, and when you have a guy that is the best quarterback in Seahawks history, this guy is a Hall of Famer. For sure. First ballot, I don't know. But if this guy does not get in, Walter Payton Man of the Year as well, come on. Listen, the Pro Football Hall of Fame has done worse. Bill Belichick. But, listen, Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer, whether you like it or not. I'm going to miss him on the football field, regardless of what team he had played for. It looked weird in Pittsburgh, I'm not going to lie to you, but I was still rooting for the guy. I was rooting for him in Denver after his first year, because we obviously needed the top pick. We had the Broncos' first-round draft pick that year. And thank you for diving with us, Boom Broncos. But now, I was rooting for him in Pittsburgh. I was rooting for him with the Giants. And now he's going to be an analyst, man. No Russell Wilson football for the first time in over 10 years. Wow. It's just, as a Seahawks fan, it's just hard to not have your heart broken by that. Because this guy was my childhood. He's everything that you want out of a quarterback. He's a great guy, great human. Obviously Hall of Fame level quarterback. But he's going to go kill it on CBS. CBS needs a guy like Russell Wilson. It's pretty much the same guy. You're getting out Matt Ryan. You're bringing in Russell Wilson. They're both relatively good PR guys. They're not going to bring a whole lot of energy to the show. He might crack a joke or two. But he's going to be relatively PR. And it's going to be good for the show. But for football, man, I know he's getting a little washed. I get it. But it just sucks for the time being. Now, our final news of the day, this does have some sort of ties to the Seahawks because we do play this team week 1, and that is the NFL's worst kept secret, and as A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots. A.J. Brown will now reunite with Mike Vrabel, his coach with the Tennessee Titans all those years back. The details: the Patriots are receiving A.J. Brown. The Eagles receive a 2028 first and a 2027 fifth. So the Eagles looking long term here. They're saying, hey, we don't need a 2027 first, or probably the Patriots probably said no to that, quite frankly. And they get the 2028 first from New England, which I think is great for Howie Roseman, because who knows where the Patriots will be in 2 years. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued about A.J. Brown with the Patriots. I'm interested to see how the Eagles wide receiver core looks this upcoming season, with Devontae Smith and Mekhi Lemon leading the charge without A.J. Brown now. But now, since it's a Seahawks podcast, you're asking, why am I talking about this? As what I just said a few seconds ago, which is that the Seahawks are playing the Patriots in a Super Bowl rematch week 1. Am I concerned for week 1 with A.J. Brown? No, not really. I think Josh Jobe is going to be able to stop A.J. Brown. You're going to be able to scheme up Devin Witherspoon, be on him every so often when he lines up in the slot. Julian Neal, that's a great first test, quite frankly, if he's ever lined up on him. And this Patriots wide receiver room is relatively deep now with A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, Kayshon Boutte, and Matt Collins. So this is a true test to see how good the Seahawks secondary is going to be in this upcoming season without week 1, who is obviously now a Philadelphia Eagle, ironically enough. We're talking about the Eagles. But I'm really not concerned. This is a very good test for rookie Julian Neal and how this new look Seahawks defense will be. Week 1, man. I'm excited. You should be too, because the last time A.J. Brown played the Seahawks was in 2023. Brown had 5 catches, 56 yards on a Clint Hurt ran defense. Clint Hurt It was Devin Witherspoon, Reek Woolen, and whoever else was on that secondary. That was it. That was quite literally it. So now I'm interested. I'm interested to see how the Seahawks defense will fare with this Patriots team. But that's all I've got for you today on the Jonathan Falco Show. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. It's episode 2 of the Jonathan Falco Show. Maybe going a little longer on Wednesday. We got a bit of a 35-minute show-ish today. We might go around that 45-50-minute mark on Wednesday. Stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much. This is episode 1 of the Jonathan Falco Show. More things to come. See you guys on Wednesday.